understanding startup costs and budgeting. Now, this is, again, crucial for the success of your restaurant or your food business, because understanding and monitoring and knowing how to plan your finances, your startup costs and your budgeting, it's crucial for the success of your business and your personal life, but also your personal life as well. Because if your personal life, like the finances of your personal life, are not in order, it will in time affect the business's finances, because your personal life, your personal finances are all part of the success of your businesses, okay? Because at some point, one or two will end up supporting the other financially. So you need to make sure that you and your business's startup costs and budgeting are in order, okay? And again, these are 5 key points that I've always used to monitor, and I'll share them with you right now. So first of all, we have itemize expenses. So break down all potential costs, including equipment, licenses, permits, marketing, staffing, and rent, in order to create a comprehensive budget. So just write them down, every single thing that you need to pay for every month. To go into more detail with it, you could call it a break-even forecast. But just to start with, just make a few notes of your outgoings basically at the minute, because you've probably not started up the restaurant yet. We're talking about your personal finances. But this is important as well, like I say, because if your personal finances are not in order, neither will your businesses, okay? We need to then research costs. So obtain quotes from suppliers, contractors, and service providers to accurately estimate expenses and avoid overlapping any crucial costs. So you just need to contact some suppliers that you may be already thinking about using. If you're not thinking about using any at the minute, just Google some, search them out. If you're driving past your local supermarket or in your local town or village or city, and you happen to drive past a butcher's, a veg shop, any of these places, then that's a potential supplier. So contact them, ring them up, ask to speak to the salespeople, get them to send you a sales brochure and a product list, and just get a list of the cost of the ingredients. So start to research these costs. Contingency planning. This is very important, okay? Now building a buffer for unexpected expenses or revenue fluctuation to ensure financial stability during the startup phase, okay? Now, when I first opened my first restaurant, this was a very big thing for me, because it cost me, I had X amount of money in the bank, it cost me Y, and I had W left over, okay? And W was not a lot of money, okay? And based on my itemized expenses, my research cost, etc., or what I would call my break-even forecast, what I need to pay for, or what money I need to generate every month to pay my bills, I only had, I think it was 6 weeks time before I'd run out of money. Or in other words, I had 6 weeks to get the restaurant busy enough to turn over enough money to hit my break-even point, okay? But these things we can go into more detail in my other courses, and you'll see links to them throughout this course as well. But just for this startup period for you, in this free micro course, start to write down your itemized expenses, do some research of costs with suppliers, contractors, etc. Okay, and then build in a buffer for unexpected expenses or revenue, like I say. So basically, after you've got everything set up, after you've worked out what your break-even point is, when you've worked out how much your suppliers cost per unit, etc., you need to know you've got enough money to keep paying your rent, paying your staff, paying your electric, paying your gas, your water, blah, 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 before you generate enough money to keep those costs up. And I would probably say about 6 months is an average before you start hitting break-even point. So you need to have enough money in the bank to fund your 6-month buffer period, basically. But again, we can talk about it in more detail. You can ask the community. You should have connected with the community by now. And if you want some more help directly from me, then reach out to me. But let's move on. So prioritize investments. So allocate resources allocate resources strategically, focusing on essential types what that directly impact the quality of your restaurant and customer experience. So basically, if you're cutting back during this kind of buffer period, for instance, if you've got 2 seating areas, an upstairs and downstairs, you don't need to open both of them all the time. Maybe just weekends, both of them. And if you don't open all the time, don't have the lighting on in the second part. Just things like that. Just to cut those expenses down. And last thing, monitor and adjust. So track actual expenses against your budget regularly. Identify areas for cost savings, measures or adjustments to stay on track financially. So monitoring finances you have to do so often, in your personal life, even if you don't run a business. But when you have a business and you've got to monitor your personal finances, you need, like, you can have a really great accountant, but your accountants don't necessarily monitor your spending. They just tell you if you spent. They just tell you if you spent too much, or what you spent on. They don't necessarily say, hiya, can you stop spending this month because you spent too much and this is going to run out of money. They don't do that. Trust me, I've had loads of them. Monitoring and adjusting your finances is completely down to yourself. Okay, and we do have another course specifically on managing finances and budgets, and you'll see a link to this after this section of the course. So I advise you have a look at that as well. But to start with, these are the 5 key points. So get some research and have a look. I'll see you in the next section.